If you plan on pursuing musical theater in college, but you don't know where to start, this video is for you. My name is Keela Sons, and I just went through the entire musical theater college audition process my senior year, and now I'm moving to Chicago in the fall to go to Roosevelt University to pursue my BFA in musical theater with a dance concentration. So this video will have every single piece of information that you need to succeed in the musical theater college audition process. I'm including links, photos, and actual examples of what I went through in this process to help you succeed and feel better prepared when you go through the process. Before we start, I do want to preface that I am not a musical theater college coach. I am not a professional. I'm just a real person who just went through the process, and I wanted to share what that looks like for me. So all of these experiences that I've had, they might not necessarily be what you have, and you can take or leave anything that I say today. Now let's jump on in. I'm including everything in this one video. It's gonna be a long one, so buckle up and let's get started. Before we jump into the video, I want to clarify a few things. That way when I state them later on in the video, you'll already know what I'm talking about. We'll be on the same wavelength. All right, so I have my laptop with all of my notes here, so if you ever see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. Many people get confused with the difference between a BFA and a BA program when first getting started into this college process. So a BFA, or a Bachelor of Fine Arts program, is a more rigid program structure, and you are specifically concentrating in your BFA major, whether that be in musical theater or acting. Now, a BA, or a Bachelor of Arts program, is a less rigid program structure, and it allows you to focus on your primary degree, but allows more flexibility as well to possibly pursue other minors, other concentrations. Now, a lot of BFA programs do allow you to pursue other minors as well, but is often more tricky and intense to be able to fit into your schedule, but it could be possible, but you will just have to talk to your counselor or research the schools prior to see what minors could be allowed with BFAs. Now, we're gonna talk about the difference between unifieds and munifieds. I made a short TikTok on this the other day. A lot of people get the differences confused. So unifieds is basically a great opportunity for you to go to either New York City or Chicago, and you will audition for a lot of your schools in one city. This is an incredible opportunity to consider this year, because if you don't do unifieds, you will have to audition for your programs on their campus and will have to go like kind of around the country to do so, or you will audition for their programs virtually, which is completely a possibility, and we will talk more about that later. But if you want that in-person audition experience, unifieds is a great option, and you can pick and choose whether you go to New York or Chicago or do both. I did both because not all of my schools were at one or the other, and that could kind of be the same situation for you guys. Again, I'm going to jump more into that later. Now for munifieds, it is basically the same premise, but it takes place in Dallas, Texas, and is associated and specifically organized for students that take classes with the program College Audition Coach. I was one of those students, and College Audition Coach is one of the main college prep programs that many students go through this process with. I do want to state right now that a college prep program is not required to audition for your schools and go through this process, but it is very, very beneficial, and we'll talk more about that later. I'm going to keep saying that. There are also many other college prep programs, such as musical theater college audition, stuff like that. You can research which one would be the best fit for you. Now let's get into the step-by-step. Okay, so step one is preparation. This includes research, college prep programs, nitty-gritty academic stuff, and preparing for filming pre-screens. The first thing you want to do is start refining your list of colleges, and the most important part of this is talking about budget. You will need to pull your parents aside, or your guardians, or whoever is helping you with college, and talk to them about what is realistically in your family's budget. Now, there isn't a correct amount of schools. I had 27 schools that I started with that I wanted to audition for, and by the end, I had around 33, which included walk-ins and programs that I just decided on auditioning for later. The way that helped me choose to pick my schools was kind of finding like 3 main things that I wanted to find in each program. For example, I knew that I wanted to find a program that had a strong emphasis on dance. So once you kind of pick out those things, which it could include stuff within the program, it could include like where you want to live in the city, it could include like, do you want that traditional campus lifestyle or more of a conservatory style school? Anything that you think is important in a program, remember, you are picking the program, they're not picking you. So once you find that, you can kind of narrow your list down. And I'm just gonna say right now, I started doing this whole research process around the summer before my senior year, and I was just going to coffee shops every day and putting on podcasts. I'm gonna link all of the podcasts that I use because there was this really good YouTube channel that had, I think it was MTCA, that had all of the videos that I needed to find. And I would put on podcasts, take notes in my notebook, and look up the campus, look up the dorms, look up the actual like program curriculum, and be looking all of this stuff up while I was listening to these podcasts. And that's kind of how I researched each school. There isn't a correct way to do it. I think the most intimidating thing is just starting. So once you start finding information, you can write it down and from there eliminate or add whatever schools that suit you. Step 2, make your Common App account. This is a platform that helps you easily organize your schools and make submitting all your college essays and info for that said school so much easier. Keep in mind, Common App is used for academic applications. You will not submit your pre-screens for your specific MT program here. This is just your application to get into that school academically. You will submit most of your pre-screens through Accepted, but we will get to that later on in the steps. You have to be accepted both academically and artistically to most college programs, even if it is considered a conservatory. You can only submit for 20 schools on the Common App. So what do you do if you're applying and auditioning for over 20? Well, I went through this as well because obviously I had 27 schools on my list. It can get a little confusing, so just bear with me. But basically, you are going to want to research these programs and see which ones can only be applied on Direct App, which means you can only apply for these programs on their actual website. And then you need to find out which ones are only through Common App. Some are through both. So what I did was I determined my top schools and I would apply to those ones through Direct App. Because basically, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. If you apply Direct App to your top schools, there is sometimes more questions, a little other snippet of a video interview that you can upload to that gets a little bit more specific than Common App, because Common App, you're filling out the same thing and like putting your essay into each school. So it makes it so much easier. You definitely still want to do Common App, but with your top schools, I would do those Direct App. Now, if you only have like 15, 16 schools, you can do them all through Common App, but it's really a personal choice what you want to do. I do know that I really enjoyed submitting Direct App, and a lot of my other friends preferred that as well. So it's really up to you, but I'm just laying out all the options for you. You want to keep a few slots open on Common App because once you get to Unifieds or later on you decide you want to do walk-ins, which I will explain later, you want to keep that open so you can apply through Common App because it's so much easier than doing Direct App like later on in the process. Okay, that was a lot. Also, you want to start filling out your Common App around August. I'm going to provide like timelines that I did everything so that you guys can know kind of when to start this whole process. So once you have started filling out your Common App and Direct Apps, you will come across many, many essays that you have to write. This is the nitty-gritty stuff I was talking about. A strong essay is key, and through Common App, you will need to write one really tight essay that you will submit to all of your schools on the Common App. This essay will follow one of the 6 Common App prompts. It changes every year, but they are all very similar. My best advice is to do number 6, which is a more general question along the lines of pick a topic of your choosing in which you can tell a compelling story, something like that. I don't remember the exact thing. Here is a photo of the prompts from this past year. It will change for you guys, but just keep in mind it stays very similar, like I said. Now, for your actual musical theater applications, you will need to provide a why this major essay as well. I was fortunate enough to be able to use my Common App essay as my Why This major with a few tweaks, what I did, so I'm just letting you guys know. I just wanted to say really quick that the FAFSA and the CSS are something that you need to be filling out as well. Talk to your parents about this. They're basically both ways to get extra financial aid and money to afford your colleges. The CSS is a little bit more in depth, so you'll just have to research and see about that stuff, but definitely talk to your parents. That's something that they can help you with. Now, as you start applying artistically as well, you will still be needing to write essays like throughout the whole process, because once you apply artistically, there's going to be more essays, more essays, more essays. Now, what I did was once you get a few essays going, you can kind of tweak them and remodel them to fit each program, because it is a lot of essays to write. It was probably over like 25 essays that I wrote for all of these programs. So just keep that in mind. You'll be doing that throughout the entire process, but I would start your Why This Major essay and your Common App essay around August, and you can keep refining it into September, if that makes sense. Okay, so now during this preparation process, you will need to be preparing artistically as well. It is tricky because you must balance the intense process of writing and figuring out all of your academic material and artistic preparation. Let's dive in. First, you will need to determine if you want to work with a college audition prep program, such as College Audition Coach. I was with College Audition Coach and I highly recommend it. It completely changed my experience with college auditions because they were with me every step of the way. Oh, lost my place. Now, it is not necessary to have a college coach. It is completely your preference and up to you. My thinking goes, if you have people that are supporting you, like what I'm kind of doing right now, explaining the academic side of things, that was the trickiest part for me because that's something that was more logistical, that you just have to fill stuff out, do the Common App, stuff like that. Obviously, our forte is musical theater, and we're already very versed in singing, acting, dancing, and for that side of things, that is kind of what those college prep programs focus on. They do also help you with academic, so it really is up to you what you kind of need. If you have acting teachers, if you have dance teachers, voice teachers that are with you every step of the way, they can kind of supplement your college prep programs if you cannot afford that or you just are not interested in spending the money on a program like that. For me personally, I would 1000% recommend College Audition Coach. It completely changed my experience. I was just so thankful to have them there. It felt like they fully supported me in my academic applications, in my essays. They had resources to help me find my monologues, my songs. It just basically alleviated that extra level of stress that was already put on top of you already going through this process, if that makes sense. But it was not necessary to have that kind of thing. You can still get through the process without it. I'm just speaking from both sides because I know not everyone will be able to have the opportunity to have a college prep program. So I'm reassuring you that if you have, if you watch this video, you're already one step ahead because you're already getting to see insight on a person who went through the process. If you have friends who went through the process, if you have teachers and mentors that can help you through it, it is not necessary to have one, but I would 1000% recommend College Audition Coach and getting a college prep program just to have that extra boost. And now I'm going to talk about if you do have a dance teacher, an acting teacher, use them. If you are not as well versed in dance or do not think that you can choreograph your own dance pre-screen, have your dance teacher help you choreograph. Have your voice teacher help you pick out your songs and go through the material with you. Have your acting teacher listen to your monologues and give you tips. Definitely use the resources that you have if they are readily available to you. Here are the most important things I noticed when picking out material. Many people say to not do material that is overdone. Here's my thinking on that. It honestly depends on the song. They say sometimes not to do a very well-known song because everyone will know it, how it usually sounds, and expect that same level. If you really like the song and sound good singing it, do it. I honestly say go for it. My contemporary upbeat song this year was That Was Then, This Is Now from Death Becomes Her. And while that is not an overdone song yet, it was still on Broadway at the time and it was just not a traditional choice. I love the song and I felt good singing it, and you know what? That's all that matters. This is the next thing. Pick material that fits your voice and your personality. These colleges will have to judge your character/personality based on your simple slate. So choose material that shows your personality so they get a better chance of knowing who you are. Pick material that really resonates with you. If you are having trouble narrowing down your decision, remember my rule of picking material that you like singing. That's the most important thing. And you will automatically deliver a more profound performance if you actually enjoy your auditions. I remember when I first started this process, I was really obsessed with trying to find the perfect song. And I was like, what do I do? What do I sing? It has to be perfect. Like, this is it. This is it. Just pick something that you enjoy. That's the most important thing, because directors can tell when you're not enjoying what you're singing. So that's my little tidbit right there. And it worked out just fine for me, picking what I wanted to sing. Like, you don't have to go with the most traditional route. So as you're preparing to tape your pre-screens, you will need to have very specific song choices and monologues and dances ready. Get ready, guys. This is the whole rundown. For songs, you will need one contemporary upbeat song, one contemporary ballad, one golden age ballad, and one golden age upbeat. Now, for actually submitting your pre-screens, a lot of schools only require 2 or 3 of these options, and they will tell you if they want either option A or option B for pre-screen guidelines, which comes from the website/organization MTCP. I'll put them on the screen throughout this so you guys can screenshot. I was able to choose between schools, like if I wanted to do option A, option B. It's really that simple. So I would recommend having all 4 songs just to have that wider opportunity to be able to choose. But I know some people that only did choose 3 songs because you really only do need 3 songs, and they were fine too. Me personally, I would choose songs for each category just so you have more opportunity to be able to submit the songs that you want to submit. And beyond that, you can have some backups as well. Like, I had 2 contemporary ballads and 2 contemporary upbeats, I think, that I just had on the back burner, stuff that I would sing, say, if my voice is not feeling 100%, I'd have that as the backup. Anyways, for monologues, you will need a contemporary comedic monologue, a contemporary dramatic, and a classic monologue, which means a Shakespeare, Moliere, etc. Again, for most of these schools, you will only submit 2 monologues, but it is good to have everything. For both monologues and songs, definitely have 2 that contrast really nicely together. For me, I had 2 sets of opposite songs that contrasted really nicely, such as my contemp upbeat and my golden age. I also had extra and had 2 contemp ballads that I would interchange, but I really did stick to just the 3 monologues because I wanted to really hone in on those and do the character work. And for me, like, monologues take way longer for me to learn and fully be comfortable with, so I just wanted to stick with the 3. But I will say, in January for Unifieds, I did end up switching my contemporary comedic monologue, and I felt like that was the best choice ever. So switching material is not taboo. It should not be. I know some people advise against it, but throughout College Audition Coach, they encourage switching your material if it's not resonating with you anymore. So I did that for one of my monologues. I'm gonna show you guys this because I use Uta Hagen's 6 steps for building a character oh my God. I use Uta Hagen's 6 steps for building a character for all of my character work, and I really advise doing that for all of your songs and monologues through this process. First of all, read the plays, because the directors could ask you questions about the play, and if you don't know, that's a really bad look. So read the plays, know your character, know the background. For the musicals, if you don't watch every single musical from your songs, please pull up an extensive plot summary, whatever. Just know what you want to do, and Uta Hagen helps with that because it really helps you delve in deep. I'm going to show you guys a format that I use. Okay, these are all my Uta Hagens. I'm not even showing the ones from my college because those are the way in the back, but this was when I was Kim McAfee and Bye Bye Birdie. You fill out who are you, you fill out what are the circumstances, what are my relationships, yada yada yada. I will show you for college. I would do stuff like Uta Hagen's shortened steps, where I would just fill out the main premise. These were for some of my songs in the process, and you fill out the timeline. I also would write on my character sheets the year that the musical was written, the year that the musical was written, who wrote the music in the show, who directed the show, because this stuff is stuff that you should have in your head just to rattle off if the directors ask you, because they could ask you to be like, for example, what song are you singing today? And you sing, I'm singing That Was Then, This Is Now from Death Becomes Her. and they're like, ooh, I haven't heard of that. Who wrote that? You have to know off the top of your head. You should know all of that stuff. So Uta Hagen's 6 Steps, that's where you can kind of write the little rundown of the song. This is the actual sheet that I'm gonna link in the description. You can also screenshot it here. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. But this is the sheet that you should follow. It has all the steps on it, and you can add, interchange, take them out, kind of whatever you want to do. So that is how I build my characters. That is my literal secret serum for every single show, every single role. I swear by Uta Hagen. Everyone who knows me knows I love Uta Hagen, so now I'm sharing with you guys. Now let's get into dance. Here is the general dance pre-screen requirements. Put on the screen right now. Ballet is optional, and it is up to you if you want to share that part of you. Now, you will either have to hire a coach or choreograph your own pieces, and this kind of goes with what I was saying earlier. Certain schools will include a dance that they would like you to learn for their pre-screens, but I personally did not come across any schools like that. For my dance pre-screen, I choreographed most of it, but then I got help from one of my dance teachers to revise and rework certain parts of it. Make sure you choreograph things that you can actually do. If you are able, include multiple turns, leaps, kicks, jumps, because the college directors just want to know if you can do certain things. Make sure you choreograph things that you can actually do. If you are able, include multiple turns, leaps, kicks, and jumps, because the college directors just want to know if you can do certain things. Here are the ballet pre-screen requirements. Here's what I did for the ballet, because I was kind of struggling at first, because like I've never choreographed a ballet center section or like bar before, but I just took my favorite exercises from class and put them together to create something that contained everything colleges wanted to see. If you are a ballet dancer, the normal bar and center stuff will have to kind of be melded together to fit everything into 1 minute. Both dances will need to be 1 minute. So kind of what I'm saying with the ballet is that you're not doing like exercises that you would normally do together. Like you're doing battements and then like frappes and tendus. It's really just what they want to see, and I don't have them all on the top of my head, but this photo will have all of the ballet pre-screen requirements. Now this is kind of the fun part. You will need to make a 1 to 1 minute 30 second wildcard video to submit to your colleges. This is your chance to film literally whatever you want to show the schools. This is also your chance to show more of your personality and who you are. I did a music video day in the life. I knew immediately that I needed to do that because I love music videos, and that's just kind of like who I am as a person, and I was able to show my whole life, aspects of my life that I wanted them to know, some of my other hobbies, talents, passions, and it's just a great way to have fun. My biggest advice for your wildcard is to have fun and not overthink it. If you want examples of pre-screens, I literally posted all of my pre-screens and my wildcard to my YouTube channel. It's under the playlist pre-screens, and that is for you guys to be able to see actual real life examples. One more thing before we end off with this section. Certain pre-screens need to be filmed certain ways. Some schools want to see waist up and some schools want to see full length. And at first I had done full length and then cropped in, but then it got really grainy. So I think you already know where this is going. You might need to record your pre-screens multiple times to get different frames that the colleges want. It's a lot, guys, but it'll be worth it if you have that premiere quality for each of your videos. Okay, also before we start on to step 2 of the process, I wanted to say that you should be filming all of your pre-screens, I would say around end of August, beginning of September, just to get out of the way. And then also you have that extra time if you want to refilm, which I did. You will have that time kind of allotted within there. And finally, my last piece of advice with all your pre-screens and stuff is making a file on your computer or like a folder that will have literally all of your dance pre-screens, all of your acting, all of your singing, headshot, resume, wildcard, interviews, anything that you can literally, when you're on accepted, just pull from that. Like, don't just have them in your photos or your camera roll. Like, really make a folder. Like, it saved my life. It saved my life. Okay, so we are done with section 1. Now let's move on to step 2 of this process. Okay, step 2 is the execution. This includes pre-screens, auditions, and callbacks. So when applying to your schools artistically, you will have the option to choose early action or early decision or regular decision. If you choose early action, that means you will hear about your acceptance or rejection a lot sooner, And early decision means that if you are accepted, you are bound to commit to that school. So I'm gonna say that again. Early action means you hear from the school sooner. You are not bound to a particular school. You just know if you got in sooner. Early decision means once you hear if you are accepted or rejected, whether that is a yes or no, you are bound to that commitment. So you audition first year in college, you say, yes, I want to do early decision. If you get accepted, you have to go there. I did not do any early decisions for my schools. But let's say you have a dream program that you know is in your budget. You know if you were accepted, you would go there. It could be an asset to you, and it lets the college team know that you are committed, and it might help you later on. It is tricky to be committed or bound to a program before knowing what scholarships you will receive, yada yada, so just keep that in mind. Okay, this is kind of hard to explain, but the difference between early action and regular action or regular decision just means you didn't apply to any school's early action. I'm gonna say right now, I applied to basically all of my schools' early action. The only schools I didn't were the ones that I did walk-ins for at Moonifieds or Unifieds. Early action is great to take advantage of because you will know if you got into these schools earlier on, and it just really helps you and leaves kind of that room open for you. So I would really recommend doing early action. The only time regular decision will have to be used is if you do walk-ins or audition or you find programs later on that you're interested in. Now it is time to film your pre-screens. I filmed my pre-screens around end of August to beginning of September. You can film them a bit later on, but if you do early action, you're gonna have to film them sooner. If you prioritize your time, you want to have extra time towards September to refilm or revise anything you need to do. I already said that. I filmed mine basically at the beginning of August. For filming, have a blank backdrop or blank wall that is not backlit. Backlit means the lighting is behind you and it makes you look really like washed out and like dark. Have good lighting with either natural sunlight or ring lights that you can easily order for super cheap on Amazon. You do not need any special filming equipment other than your phone. Just invest in a good speaker now because you will need that for basically most of your auditions at Unifieds if you choose to go. I already talked about filming your pre-screens full length, waist up. Both of your monologues, they don't care if you film it just waist up, so that's what I did. And then for your classic monologue, that does need to be full length. For your dance pre-screens, if you want to film it, rent a studio or film it at your dance studio or at the gym. Film everything horizontal. That means you're holding the phone this way, not this way, this way. Make sure you take good headshots to submit for your pre-screens. For your resume, refine it before college auditions and make sure you include your email and phone number and height and age. I also included a small headshot in the corner. You don't need to do that, but I did. And I included like a more fun one. Like I had my like this headshot and then I had my headshot, and that was like in the corner of my resume. For your shows, include a variety of roles, and if you've done any directing or choreographing, they want to see that. Put that on there. I'm just gonna tell you now that they don't care about the leads you've played. They are just as interested, if not more, than seeing your understudy work or directorial stuff. That is some of the stuff they asked me in the audition room. They asked me about like my understudy roles, about some of my choreographing stuff. That stuff really interests them. Also be prepared to know songs from the shows that you listed with the roles you've played because sometimes they will ask you to sing from the show. They never asked me to do that, but like I've heard stories about other people. If you put like, for example, in my case, Mamma Mia, they're gonna be like, sing The Winner Takes It All, which leads me to my next point. For your callback auditions, not for your pre-screens, but for your callbacks, you will need to have a pop song. For my pop song, I chose The Winner Takes It All from ABBA because I was just Donna and Mamma Mia, and I was like, that's perfect. I just want to sing that song, and it can be considered a pop song, so that's what I did. So just to clarify all of this again, your pre-screens are the stuff that you film to send to these colleges, and now at this point you should have uploaded all of your pre-screens onto Accepted. Accepted is something that you'll learn more about when you actually get involved in this process, but that is the main place that they want to see you submit your pre-screens. Again, just like the academic applications, you can submit some pre-screens on the actual website. It really just depends on the school, so you'll get there when you get to it. So that is your pre-screens. Then you will be called back for the schools. You will either be called back or not be called back, and you'll be finding that out around beginning of October, mid-October. If you did early action for these schools, it should be around that time that you find out. And your callbacks are where you want to take the same material you did with the added pop song if they ask for a pop song in the callbacks. And when you get there, they will let you know like on the door what songs they want to hear you sing. So that is the difference between those two. You don't need to have different material for callbacks. You can if you want, but I would stick with what you've been working on at least for the first round. Maybe later in January you can change your stuff like I did, but I just changed my monologue. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Also, when you're submitting pre-screens, be prepared to film certain interviews for colleges. When I auditioned for NYU, I had to film a video asking me to tell a story. Don't be scared. This will help you. These videos are key. These are your gifts because they are just another video that will show the colleges who am I, who you are. Interviews are also a great way to just be you. Don't feel like you have to act or pretend. Like, just talk like how I'm talking now and tell a story. If they ask you to tell a story, that is like the best thing ever because they just want to know who you are and they want to see if you can like talk fluidly. Okay. So you've submitted all your pre-screens. That is done. We're now entering October, November. You start hearing back. You will already know by this point if you've been academically accepted. I forgot to mention this earlier, but you should be making portal accounts with every school on their website, even if you submit with the Common App. Now that you have been called back, it's time to plan which unifieds to go to or determine if you even want or need to do that. The primary location for unifieds are New York and Chicago. I did both because not all of my schools, even with unifieds, were covered by just one location. You also have the option to audition virtually for the schools. This is totally possible. I know a person who got into Manhattan School of Music by auditioning virtually for everything. For me personally, I really wanted to go in person, so that is just a personal preference. If you don't do either, you will need to go around to all of your schools and audition for them on their campus, which will be really expensive. Interjection. You know how I said earlier you want to submit for your school's early action? Well, you do need to research which schools, if you submit early action, will still be at unifieds, if that makes sense. Because me and my best friend made this mistake. We submitted for Emerson early action, and then we realized later on Emerson does not go to unifieds if you submit early action. So we had to go to Boston specifically for Emerson in November. And I mean, it was an amazing trip, amazing experience. But that is something to keep in mind. Research which schools actually are like associated, if that makes sense. Like if you apply early action to some of these schools, then they expect you to come to their school earlier than like what they would see you at unifieds. So that was the only school that I applied early action to that had that issue, but I'm just letting you guys know so you can research your schools like that. So this is the stuff that you need to get your parent or guardian involved with because I will repeat this a million times. You cannot do this process alone. You just can't. There's so many logistics. There is so much. It is too much for one person to handle completely themselves. You will need someone to be there and support you, especially with helping you handle the travel stuff, details, expenses. Start telling your parent now about unifieds if that is something you are interested in, and show them this video where I am fully explaining what unifieds is. It is such an incredible opportunity to get to audition for all of your schools in one location in person, and you also get to meet so many people that you will continue to stay in touch with. Your parent or guardian, you will definitely want to help with travel, planning, and budgeting. I don't know what I would have done without my mom in the process, probably died. She really helped me take off that extra layer of stress by helping me organize everything for travel and like logistical stuff. Here's the timing for unifieds that I went through. There's also PUA, which is Pittsburgh Unifieds. They're not exactly unifieds, but you will have to research more on that. I did not do PUA. I don't know much about it, but that could be a good opportunity for you. Moonifieds, if you go through College Audition Coach, is in November, and Unifieds for New York is in January, and Unifieds for Chicago is in February. So it gives you a good amount of time to like kind of see the whole outline. I did all three for each, so obviously every month I was planning doing stuff. If you do January Unifieds in New York, you will have literally all fall and all winter to prepare for your callbacks. It really just depends on the timeline that you choose. Okay, speaking of organizing, you will need to purchase a binder of all your material with no sheet protectors. If there is a glare in the room, pianists cannot read the music. Just 3-hole punch and put them in the binder, clearly marked for the pianist. That means with pen, marking your start, marking your end of your song, and then you will like tell them the tempo when you get up there. Also have copies of your monologues in the binder. I printed around 100 resumes and headshots because that is what we read we would need, but in the end, I used less than half that amount. You will need to staple those together in all 4 corners. I'm about to show you an example now. They are 8 by 10 photos and resumes stapled, by the way. That's very important. I kept those in that binder as well. So this is the binder that I used for my auditions. It's just like a thin white, and here's my resume headshot in there. I had my monologues in the front. They were just put in here. I had extra resumes and headshots, more monologues. Here is where I labeled all of my songs, and I also had them in different categories. So there are these little colored tabs. So I had my contempt upbeats, contempt ballad, classic ballads, Disney songs. I put that in there because they said you maybe need a few Disneys. I never use that Disney song, so I just put that in there. I was being extra. My pop song, and I also had some extra songs in the back just in case I wanted to use them. So that is what mine looks like. I'm about to show you my resume and headshot. Here she is. You can see I stapled it like this in all 4 corners. This is my headshot. This is my resume. I have my info here. That's why I'm covering it. Now you can see what I mean about the fun headshot. I just put it in the corner. This is what it looks like. So yeah, that is what I did. And having a binder with all that stuff in there. They want to have a binder anyways. They want to see you have your stuff organized in there. So that's what you should do. For other things to bring the Unifieds, you will need a speaker and a nebulizer. I'm linking the speaker I used below. Also, I'll link the nebulizer. My nebulizer helped loosen my throat before every audition, and I got saline packets to add to it. That nebulizer really did save my life. The air is dry in New York and Chicago. I would get a nebulizer. You'll need to bring ballet flats, jazz shoes, character heels, bring tap shoes just in case, bring leotards and leggings, and your primary nice audition outfits. If you want to color coordinate your outfits to be more memorable, you can totally do that. I did green, obviously. I love green, you can already tell. So I had a green Leo that I wore, and then a green jumpsuit, just fun stuff like that. You can just have fun with your outfits. Don't feel like you have to fit a certain format, because when I was at Unifieds, I saw a whole extensive amount of outfits. Everyone was rocking their own vibe, and it's great. Use your outfits as a chance to let them see who you are. Another thing, now let's talk about switching up material. Everyone always says that you do not need to be stuck in the same songs that you use for your pre-screens, and that is true. I will just say this. I honestly low-key freaked out before New York Unifieds and wanted to change most of my songs. And then when I got there, I ended up doing all the same stuff I did for my pre-screens anyway, because I'm like, it's just better. Also, it's up to you to decide if you want to keep singing the same songs that you use for your pre-screen for a specific college, or if you want to switch it up. So basically, this means when you're submitting your pre-screens, you should write down what songs you submitted to which schools for the pre-screens, because in your callbacks, you can choose, maybe I'll sing one of the same songs that they already heard me sing for my pre-screens, but then I'll switch up to another song so they can get more material on me. That's the same for monologues as well. I would keep at least one song the same. You don't have to, but obviously they called you back on the material that you submitted, so they liked it. So that's just something to keep in mind. At Unifieds, you will have to learn dances on the spot for each of these schools. Also, none of my schools I auditioned for did this, but some of my friends had to learn choreography beforehand with videos that they sent out to them. Just be prepared to pick up stuff really quickly on the spot. Also, be prepared to answer questions in the audition room. Like I said earlier, know your material inside and out, and that includes who wrote it too. Just relax and remember that even though these schools are auditioning you, you are also auditioning them. You can ask questions and be yourself because they want you to be the puzzle piece that fits into their program. They want you to work with their puzzle, so just keep that in mind. Okay, step 3 is the waiting game, results and finishing touches, college acceptances, waitlists, rejections, and yeah, that's basically it. Now it's the waiting game. Everything is done. FAFSA should be done and submitted. CSS usually submitted around early January for most schools. Not all schools require CSS, but pretty much every school requires the FAFSA if you need any financial aid. Work study, scholarships, loans, etc. When you begin to receive acceptances and rejections, you might also receive some wait lists. At this time, you will also receive scholarships and financial aid from schools, and you can be filling out your own local scholarships as well. I was able to win over $8,500 in local scholarships, so it really does help. It really works. A huge part in considering which program to commit to is to see financially how it will work, like I was saying earlier. Talk to your parents and see which offer fits best with your personal financial situation. If you're worried you will be struggling to decide between programs, here was my experience. When I was accepted into Roosevelt, at this point it was my top school, an absolute dream program. It was my favorite audition at Unifieds, and I just knew that if I was accepted, I would go there. When I got my acceptance, everything fell into place. Sometimes you will just know. If you are really hung up between two schools, I would strongly suggest going with the less expensive option, unless money is not an object, of course. What I've learned is that these programs are all very similar, so it is important to try and save as much money as you can so you aren't in debt when you graduate. You commit to your program, you will have to drop down the initial deposit, transcripts, and get in touch with your counselor to discuss classes you will need to take and possible minors. If you were in accelerated or college classes in high school, this is also a chance to talk to your counselor and see if you can get any of those classes to count towards college so you don't need to retake those classes. At this point, your college will communicate everything they need you to do. I recommend getting on the Instagram pages that will have your whole class and see everyone who committed to your program so you can start meeting people before you actually go to school, and also try and find a roommate there. Okay, so that is basically the entire process. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions whatsoever, you know where to reach me in the comments here, in my DMs on Instagram, on TikTok. I am here for you guys. This process was so fun. It was truly the highlight of my senior year, getting to meet so many different people from all over the world, pursuing and passionate about the same thing that I am was just so incredible and unforgettable. And I hope you guys have an incredible experience. I'm here for you. I hope this video helped you, and it's intense, but remember, you can do it. All right, guys, I'll see you in my next video, and make sure, if you're not already, subscribe to my YouTube channel to follow my journey in college in Chicago. Bye.